promoted to be a warden at the James Crabtree Correctional Center, but I don't think there's a person in here that isn't going to miss Jason in more ways than we can even understand at this point. He's one of those folks when they leave, we think we know how we're going to miss him, but when he's gone, we know we're really going to miss him in so many other ways. He's been such a huge part of this facility from the beginning. So we got several little things that we want to give him, and we've got some great refreshments. But I want to start out with just a little bit about Jason. Most of you that have worked at Bill Johnson know all the different positions that he's held, but some folks in the community may not, or may not remember. And let's put it on the cake too, so you can read it. I'm going to come up here and I will probably read it too. But he started as one of the original officers when we opened in 1995. This is our 20th anniversary, so he's been here for our entire existence. He started as a correctional officer, and usually we let people be a correctional officer for a little while before we step them into yet one of the most challenging jobs here is being a drill instructor. But we kind of tapped Jason early. I don't know if it had to be his athletic ability at Northwestern, but for whatever reasons, that and many reasons, we tapped him early to become a drill instructor. And the drill instructors are really a very important initial part of our program. And they do things in their challenging ways that probably some of us will never experience to maintain that intensity. So he started as a correctional officer, and a drill instructor, and then he became a case manager, and then he became a specialized case manager over aftercare, which is also, and I believe, one of the first aftercare case managers.
I was the first.
He was the first, I thought so. Which is also a hallmark of our program, that no other facility had any services for offenders once they left here. So Jason came in and helped launch that program that we still have today in different versions, but that's been a critical part of our offenders' long-term success, is having those additional services that are available once they leave. And then he moved into records, and records is one of the most technical positions in this agency. It's very complicated, and many statutes that rule who gets what kind of credit, and there's all kinds of calculations and statutes and that have to be followed and audited to ensure that we keep people long enough and we release them on time. And so Jason did that for many years and became actually an expert in that field to the point where he was invited in to do training at the academy. That job just keeps getting harder, by the way, but he has kept up with a lot of those changes, and so that still remains a big part of his expertise in this agency is his knowledge of records. Then he moved into the case manager 4 position, which is over all classification, all records, and all of the program. And again, each step that he's taken, he has gone in and just truly taken it to a whole other level. So we were lucky enough to get him to be able to promote from within. That's sometimes challenging, is normally to take those positions, they require you to go to the facility. So we felt very fortunate that they recognized that it's not like his history here, that he can still even step into the role of deputy warden and be even-handed and objective about how to do the position. And my only regret is how short time it's been. I had visions of many more years getting to have him as our deputy. He's just been great. We have wonderful staff at Bill Johnson, and we've had a lot of people have promoted on, and many people in this room have from the beginning and no longer those entry-level jobs, but they too have promoted, and it truly is a team. And Jason really maximized that whole philosophy as a deputy, pulling people together as a team. Nothing about corrections is easy these days, and we have fewer resources, it seems, as all state agencies. But, Jason is one of the most positive people, and I think that's probably the thing we're all missing most. Nothing ever really gets Jason down. He sees the task at hand while I'm still over here complaining about how we got to do this. Jason's moved on to the solution. So I've learned much from Jason about, how you keep pressing forward, and how you do. We can do amazing things when we stay together as a team. And I know he'll build that same kind of team at Crabtree. And that's what you need during these times. Every state agency should be able to clone Jason, because we all need people that can really rise above the hard times and really see the possibilities. And he does that. He's done that in every position. He's certainly done his ability. So very, very, very appreciative for all that he has done for me personally and for the facility. I think we all, those of us that get into leadership positions, you always hope that your people outgrow you. And, I told him when we did our closeout this morning, he was outgrowing me a long time ago. So I really feel lucky that I got to keep him. Because it's just one of those folks that is always looking at that next level. He's always learning the next level above. And that is serving well and continue to serve him when he goes to be the Warden at Crabtree. And I'm sure they'll try to instill that in his folks there. But the thing that I think, he's got so many competencies and so many areas where he is an expert truly in the agency. But I tell you what I think is his greatest strength. He just treats people well. He's a good person. And it doesn't matter whether it's a staff member. I've done good all day long. It doesn't matter whether it's staff or a vendor family or a vendor. He treats people well. And, he gets this, and in turn, people have so much respect for him. And that really is the key, I think, to being a successful leader, is how you treat people and how you take care of them. It's something I think he comes by quite naturally. It's just who he is. So I wish him the very, very best. I know we all do here. We'll miss you. But we'll move on, and you will move on, and I know we'll continue. Whether you're at Crabtree or whether the folks are still here, we're going to continue to have successful operations, because that's what we do in Northwest Oklahoma. And that's part of the community partnership. You all create an environment for these facilities like Crabtree and Key to succeed in, and it really isn't parallel anywhere else in the state. So, I feel very fortunate to have been born and raised in Northwest Oklahoma and get to see the differences that we can make as a community in this facility. So, anyway, congratulations. Come on up and get the good stuff here. This is very cool, and Brenda, the secretary, did great research to find the before and after Jason. This is when he came in as a correctional officer, and here he is today. So,
you know what? If you take the hat off, what will be there, Drew?
That's right.
But anyway, that's a very, very
Wow.
kind of tells the story in and of
Yeah, you can
itself.
tell a story in my face. 20 years in corrections.
Well, first I'd like to present to you your Deputy Warden badge, so you can keep that and add it to probably all the other badges that you're going to get beyond here. And senior staff, if y'all would come up, they have a gift for you, and you've got cards and some other gifts as well. What we have is a token, I guess, of our appreciation, and we saw this, and it really does communicate how we see you as a leader. And so it reads, a true leader has the confidence to stand alone, the courage to make tough decisions, and the compassion to listen to the words of others. He does not set out to be a leader, but becomes one by the quality of his actions and the integrity of his intent. In the end, leaders are like eagles. They don't flock, you find them one at a time. And that's symbolic because we have an eagle in our patch. So, to Jason Bryant for his service and commitment to the Bill Johnson Correctional Center, July 1995 to February 2015.
Very nice. Thank you. 20 years in corrections will really do a number on this here. But thank you so much. I want to start over here with the community. When Melissa and I were first married, and we decided we could do anything with our lives, and the town of Alva, the short amount of time that we spent, of course I went to Northwestern, but when we were first married, it was a perfect fit for us to stay in the community and to build our lives and to raise our children. And for you that don't know, Drew's an 8th grader in Alva, and Riley's a sophomore at Northwestern. Riley couldn't make it because she's got cheerleading things going on right now. Is that right? I think. but my Northwestern Oklahoma State, that family means absolutely everything to me. I still have friends that we don't call each other friends, we call each other brothers. We don't shake hands, we hug. So, this community, Northwestern, has again meant everything to Melissa and Drew and Riley and I. And I get what I told in the last meeting with the advisory board. We're not moving to Alaska. We're just moving 42 miles south. So we're still going to remain extremely close to the community. It means everything to us, and I want to thank you for being here. It means a lot to me. My Bill Johnson family, friends forever, friends for life. I mean, I've developed friendships here that I will have forever, for the rest of my life, and it means everything to me. Whenever when Warden was talking about me as a drill instructor, it was probably, as a drill instructor and as a deputy warden, has been the most rewarding times in my life, in my professional life. As a drill instructor, I can't tell you the number of times that I walked outside in that parking lot and I said, I'm going to call Coach Loman, because this is not for me. And so, but I mean, there were so many people at that time that were just so inspirational to me. If you remember David Tate, who was the chief at OSR, Mike Barbie, who was the chief here, Sam Jones, who was the chief at William Key, all those guys were DIs at one time. And they, with their leadership, and as they moved throughout their careers, they became chiefs. David Loudon is our chief here. He was once a DI. So as a drill instructor, I tell you, it taught me as a young man really how to cope, first of all. But actually, and I was telling Warden this in my closing, that when you see people that are in leadership positions, you want to mimic them. But at the same time, what I did is I had to learn to be myself. I had to learn how to cope with all the situations that we have in corrections. But you got to learn how to do those things that you can control within yourself. So, anyways, the things that I've learned here and been a part of have been so rewarding and so meaningful. And I just appreciate you allowing me to be a part of it. So thank you for being here. Again, we're not leaving the state by any means. We're still, and in the closing with the Warden, I said, how important it is that we continue to be partners in this crazy business that we're in. Sometimes we all move away, and then we literally put walls up, prison walls, but it's going to be real important that we continue to have great partnerships and work together, and there's no doubt that we will. So thanks again. Warden Melton, thank you. Warden, I had a written statement to prepare yesterday for the Board of Corrections. That was really nerve-wracking, right? Standing in front of those people was something else, very nervous. So I read this narrative I had concerning my relationship with Janice, but we cannot be fortunate enough to have such a great leader in this business and in the community. Absolute inspiration in the way that she handles business, in corrections, but more importantly, just the way that she handles business in her life and in the community and citizenship and all that. So, Warden, thank you. It's been great. I say that I'm not closing anything. You know, it's just a small change in the way that we live our lives and the way that we do business now. So again, thank you.
And I had it on my notes, but I forgot. And that's to recognize Melissa, and Jason I know has too, but you know, we're very much a family, that our families are working here just right along beside us, and you know, it takes a lot, and we know we take them away from you a lot, and you know, we appreciate your support for Jason and for letting us have him as much as that we demanded of him, and so. Anyway, it is kind of it's a project that we're all in together.
I know what Drew was thinking when Janice was saying all those nice things. She was like, what?
Who is this? See, you know that side. But anyway, we thank you guys. And the kids too. You know, there's times I'm sure you would have rather your dad been home and he was here. So
Probably.
All right. Renee? Do we have a plan here?
We have a plan. I think we're going to eat a bunch of cake. And you're welcome to some beverages. Give me just a chance to get a head start on the cake. All that. That's for me.
This is for me?
Yeah. When somebody gets a promotion, you assume you're going to make more money. Now, you might hit a different tax bracket, and man, are you going to be disappointed because you're fixing to spend a little bit of money on gas. But what do you buy someone that you worked for 20 years and somebody that you looked up to and somebody that has been your supervisor and been there for you, and when you felt like everything went wrong and it did go wrong, he's still there to support you and to be positive, as the warden has mentioned. Back to when you get someone that has everything. Well, I'm a little offended because when he took the plants out of his office, the little one in the corner, I put that there. I was really liking them until yesterday. And I went in and I'm like,
I still have them.
no, I'm playing with you. I think I should go with you.
The funny thing about the plants, when I brought them home just because it was a nice weekend, and I put them out on the back patio, and when I brought them in, Melissa said, who's taking care of these?
Kept them alive. But again, I am absolutely 100% excited for you in your journey. You've talked a lot about. Did you break it?
I thought it was connected.
The deputy has kept talking about, am I ready for this? Am I ready for this? I'm not sure if I'm ready for this. Boy, and we talked and shared the ideas and the concepts of the culture shock. It's going to be extremely different going from a very structured yard to a very non-structured yard with an absolutely different environment of people. So I came across that cross, and it's actually the one you hang on the mirror, and it talks a lot about having your faith and being strong. Not that he needs help, but God is always there. And then, if you look back at his career, he's been here for 20 years. He's like a beginner. He's graduated now. He's moving on and up. The information and the knowledge. All of the things that have been developed here, all the things that we've done, all the things that we don't do anymore, all of the things that he helped establish. That's just a book in a wealth of information. So I came across this little journal, and there's a blank spot on the top. And I thought maybe the word warden would fit there well.
Yeah, very nice. Yes.
So, at any rate, I just wanted something for you to take so that I wasn't quite so mad about you taking the plant.
This is very nice. Thank you so much.
That plant been here for 18 years. But anyway, I will miss you. But if I need you, I know how to find you.
That's right.
All right.
Again, Renee, a good point is we're not that far away.